If you have less than $10,000 saved right now, you're probably being bombarded with conflicting advice about what to do with your money. Invest in the S&P 500, buy cryptocurrency, start a real estate portfolio, max out your 401k. And you're sitting there thinking, I barely have enough to cover an emergency if I had to, let alone invest in all of these things. Here's the thing, following this traditional financial advice when you have limited capital is like trying to water a garden with an eyedropper. You might see some growth, but it's going to be painfully slow. At 9% average return in the market, that $10,000 would become $10,900 after a full year. $900, less than $100 a month. And that's assuming that the market performs well that year. What if it doesn't? What if you need that money for an emergency? What if inflation eats away half of those gains? Let me ask you something as well. What's your ultimate goal with money? And I want you to think about this. Is it to have a slightly bigger number in your account that you rarely look at? Is it freedom to make choices without financial constraints, freedom to spend time how you want, freedom to live the life you actually desire? Because if it's freedom you're after, the traditional path isn't just slow for most people. It never gets them there at all. What I'm about to share with you goes against everything you've probably heard about building wealth. But I guarantee you this, if you watch this entire video and implement what I'm about to show you, you can potentially 2x, 5x, or even 10x your income within months, not decades. This isn't a theory. I did it myself, going from $2,800 a month to over $6,000 a month in just 60 days by making one counterintuitive decision. The secret isn't finding the right investment for your money. The secret is realizing that you are the investment. Let me show you exactly how this works. Now, if you have less than $10,000, here's what nobody tells you. The best investment that you can possibly make isn't stocks, it's not crypto or real estate, it's yourself. You are the asset. You are the stock. You are the cryptocurrency. The concept sounds obvious when you hear it, but it completely flips how we traditionally think about building wealth. Here's one of the concepts I first heard from Alex Hormozi, and it hit me pretty hard. We've been conditioned to think about money as something we put into external vehicles, like accounts, properties, whatever it might be. But when you look at the math, it's absurd how backward this is when you have limited capital specifically. Let me show you what this means with an actual real life example. Imagine a woman working at a job, and this is a real story, making $15 an hour. She wants to become a phlebotomist, which pays $25 an hour. The certification costs $500 and takes 6 weeks to complete. So working 40 hours a week at $15 an hour, that's $2,400 a month. Working 40 hours a week, $25 an hour, that's $4,000 a month before taxes. That's $1,600 a month increase, or $20,000 almost per year. For a $500 investment, that's a 3,840% return just by increasing her own earning capabilities. And unlike the market, this return is largely within your control. But here's what's crazy. When she was asked why she hadn't done this yet, despite having the $500, she actually had the money, her answer was she didn't want to spend the money to increase her earning potential. She was literally choosing to forego $19,200 a year for spending $500 once. Most of us make these same mistakes in different ways. We hoard our limited capital, we save it for some mythical perfect investment opportunity that we're gonna get, while ignoring the massive returns available for investing in our own earning potential. Let me give you another example. Let's say you work in customer service, making $40,000 a year. You can spend $2,000 on a comprehensive digital marketing certification. This could qualify you for a marketing coordinator role starting at $55,000 a year. That's a $15,000 annual increase from $2,000, a 750% first year return. And unlike stocks that might crash, your returns compound as you gain experience and move up the ladder. When you have limited capital, investing in appreciating your own value is mathematically the fastest path to wealth. Most people get this backward. They save tiny amounts of money hoping for compound interest to work its magic over decades, when they could be compounding their income by investing in their own skills and their own capabilities. The ROI on personal development isn't 9% per year. It could be 900% or even more. But knowing this principle is not enough. The question becomes, what specific investments in yourself yield the highest returns? And I discovered this through my own experience when I made a decision that shocked everybody around me. So I was a cardiac physiologist working in a hospital, and I was making $26 an hour. I had a master's degree, I was respected, I was successful by conventional standards, but my take-home pay after taxes was about $2,800 a month. Let me put this into perspective. I spent 6 years in higher education. I had significant student loan debt. I was working in a specialized and respected field. I was doing everything right according to society's playbook. And for all of that, I was bringing home less than $34,000 a year after taxes. Something wasn't adding up. So I made a decision that seemed crazy crazy to everybody around me. I quit my hospital job to take a sales position, not because it paid more initially. I actually expected to earn less, but because I recognized that sales skills would be invaluable for my long-term goals of starting a business. So I went all in. I pulled money out of my 401k, liquidated my small investments, stocks, crypto, and poured everything into sales training programs, personal development courses, business education, mentorship from people who are already succeeding, books, seminars, and any resources that could help me develop faster. And it was hard. Like, it felt like I was ending everything when I was liquidating all of that cash. Here's exactly what happened. Within just 2 months of switching to sales, my monthly income jumped to over $6,000 per month, more than doubled what I was making with my master's degree at the hospital. Now, was this easy? Not at all. I was terrible at sales. I fumbled calls. I faced rejection. I had days where I questioned everything, but unlike my hospital job, where my income was capped regardless of my performance, in sales, I could directly influence my earnings through skill development. Every book I read, every technique that I practiced, every call that I analyzed, all of it translated into tangible income growth. And it wasn't luck or chance. It was strategic investment in myself. I was treating myself as the asset, and the returns were immediate and massive. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. You probably could. I'm suggesting that you look at your career with cold hard math. What skills could you develop that would significantly increase your earning potential? What career pivot could you make that might double your income? What investment in yourself would yield returns measured in thousands of percentages? The highest leverage move often isn't a lateral move for slightly more money. It's developing an entirely new skill set that opens doors to completely different income brackets. When you're starting with limited capital, the compound interest equation that matters most isn't the one in your bank account, it's the one in your skill sets. Every new capability you develop compounds with your existing ones, creating exponential value in the marketplace. Most people never realize this because we've been conditioned to think of wealth building as something that happens outside of ourselves in accounts, properties, stocks, investments, whatever. But the truth is, at this stage of your journey, you are the investment vehicle with the highest potential return. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's great, but I don't know what specific skills or career moves would work for me. Let me show you a concrete strategy that could potentially double your income in the next 90 days, regardless of your background. And here's something most people don't realize. There's an entire sector of the economy right now that's desperate for talent, pays significantly above average, and cares more about your ability to learn and fit the culture than the specific credentials. I'm talking about online businesses, marketing agencies, consulting firms, software companies, and high-ticket service providers. This space is expanding rapidly, and they're hiring people right now with your existing skills willing to pay $80,000 to $120,000 a year to the right people. Most people have no idea this opportunity exists because they're locked into traditional job search platforms and conventional career advice. They're looking at the same job boards as everybody else, competing for the same positions that require specific degrees and experience levels. Meanwhile, there's this parallel job market with totally different rules. And here's exactly how you can tap into this opportunity. Update your resume today to highlight transferable skills, communication abilities, your problem solving, project management, attention to detail, customer service experience, adaptability and learning capacity, team collaboration. Then search for these specific job titles: client success manager, account manager, operations manager, project manager, customer experience specialist, implementation specialist, business development representative. Then look for these specific types of companies: SaaS, which is software as a service, digital marketing agencies, e-commerce brands, online coaching and consulting businesses, or tech startups, especially ones with recent funding. Apply to 20 to 30 positions in a single focus session. Don't overthink each application. It's just volume that matters here. And then prepare for interviews by studying the company, practicing your story. These companies value culture fit and learning ability over specific experience. Now, let me also address the elephant in the room. I know this sounds like a lot of work. Changing your financial trajectory should be a lot of work. It should require effort, but compare the effort of sending 30 applications and preparing for interviews to the effort of working an entire extra year at your current salary. If this approach helps you land a job paying $30,000 more annually, that's equivalent to 1,000 hours of work at $30 an hour. You can complete this entire process in less than 40 hours. I've seen people go from $40,000 to $50,000 corporate jobs into $90,000 to $100,000 positions in these companies almost overnight. The key is understanding these fast-growing online businesses and the value that you can provide to them. They need smart, adaptable people. This approach is a perfect example of investing in yourself through strategic positioning. You're not spending money on additional education, you're leveraging your existing skills and experience in a market that values you better than how you're currently being valued. But here's the critical element that most people miss when they're trying to make these types of changes. And it's something that I had to learn the hard way. One of the biggest reasons people stay financially stuck isn't the lack of opportunity, it's decision paralysis. They spend months or years planning for changes and never actually make the changes. The phlebotomist example that I mentioned earlier, when asked why she hadn't taken the certification course despite having the $500, her answer was she didn't want to spend the money. She was sacrificing almost $20,000 in annual income to avoid spending $500. This illustrates the truth. Your ability to make fast, decisive moves is directly correlated with your financial growth. And I didn't always have this skill. In fact, for years, I was the king of overthinking. I'd research endlessly, create spreadsheets, make pros and cons lists, ask everyone for their opinion. That was a huge one. And you know what actually happened? Nothing. The opportunity would pass, or I would talk myself out of it in some way, shape, or form. Or I'd wait for the perfect time, and that perfect time never came. Learning to make fast, confident decisions was a skill that I had to deliberately develop, and it's been worth more than any other skill in my financial journey. Now, here is how you develop this muscle. Use the 70% rule. When you have 70% of the information needed, move. Waiting until you have 100% certainly means that the opportunity is often gone. Set decision deadlines. Give yourself 24 to 48 hours for medium decisions and 1 week for maximum big ones. But you have to do something, and you have to commit. And I want you to start focusing on opportunity costs, not just direct costs. Calculate what your inaction is actually costing you. Phlebotomist, for example, wasn't about $500 that she was going to lose. It was about the $1,600 per month that she was losing in income. One way you can get the ball rolling is to start making small decisions and train your decision-making muscle by making faster choices on small things first. Then you can work up to the bigger ones that take a little bit more risk. When I quit my hospital job, I didn't spend months researching and planning. I saw the opportunity to develop valuable skills through experience, and I made the decision very quickly and executed it immediately. And it was very, very uncomfortable. And everybody around me told me that it wasn't what I should do, and that sales was a sleazy market to be in, and that I was going to make less money, and that it was less safe, and there was no salary, and all of these things. But was it the right move to actually do that? 100,000%. The ability to make decisions quickly doesn't mean making them recklessly. It means gathering sufficient information, weighing the options, and then committing without unnecessary delay. Slow decision makers aren't actually making better decisions. They're just letting fear and perfectionism disguise themselves as thoroughness. Now, once you increase your income through self-investment, career pivoting, fast execution, you'll reach a point where you do have meaningful capital to invest. This is where wealth building strategy shifts from exclusively focusing on you and a more balanced approach. I call this the wealth ladder. Actually, I just made that up on the spot. I don't have a name for it, but it's a strategic approach to building wealth based on where you currently stand. Start stacking up the capital. You have $100,000 in the bank, $50,000 in the bank, 150, 200, whatever, but you have extra income and you're making more money on a monthly basis. Now you have vehicles that you can put that in. Dogecoin being one of them. Just kidding. But crypto or something like real estate or whatever type of vehicle you want to start educating yourself on, or paying someone who is already educated to handle that for you. When you have extra money just sitting in the bank, that's when you want to focus on compound interest. But right now, having less than $10,000 means that you need more skills that are more valuable to the marketplace.